25 million job loss in the next 3 years. So we just talked about the workforce being 168 million, and now you're talking about taking 25 million people out of the workforce. That's huge, huge percentage, but more than that, it's a huge number.
Okay, so we're back. The second half man show. The discussion today is revolving around job displacement due to AI. But, Russ, the funny thing is, we don't really hear about that.
We do, but not to the level that you would think we would. Right now, mainstream media, we're just starting to see on the news a lot more AI and the effects that it's having on the workplace or could have on the workplace. But we get such disparity across the board when we look at the people that we look to for expert advice are saying about AI. I mean, it goes all the way from, no effect at all to we're going to lose, $300 million jobs worldwide within the next 3 to 5 years. And I think that's the story.
And then you and I listen and watch everything we can. We have these conversations, and then all of a sudden it's like, do I, who am I believing? What should I believe? I need you to give me the numbers, so that we can bring it into context for, our guys that are listening to this, the impact. Because you said, what did you say, 300 million jobs? Well, what would you say, 300 million people in the United States? And how many people, you were telling me the other day, how many people are paying for all that?
Slow down.
It's going to be.
All right.
It's good.
Here we go. So what I was telling you was, if you look at what's happening in the world, you see things like, here's a good example. So the New York Fed comes out and says that AI is really not having that big of effect. Less than 1% of the we lost jobs, but less than 1% of those job losses were because of AI, or that their jobs were replaced by AI. But on the other hand on the other side of the coin, the companies are saying things like, they're not saying AI, but they're saying technology retraining, no more hiring. This is a natural progression of reducing our headcount. But their work is going up. Their revenues are going up. How is it possible that we're doing more with less if it's not because of the technology? So that's one. You have things like the IMF talking about the number of job losses in the world are going to be large, but we're going to have almost an equally number of large job requirements. So the whole, yes, there's going to be job losses, but you're going to have to be trained, retrained, and then there'll be a lot more jobs. And that's,
a 63-year-old guy. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be retrained. Okay.
Exactly. So when we go through these things, we start finding, okay, what's the real story is the whole disparity. So let's go through and let's actually look when you say you want the receipts and talk about the job numbers, right? So let's look at this. So yes, there's about 48 million people in the United States, and our workforce is made up of about 168 million people in our workforce. What?
I'm just wondering how many second half men are in that number.
About 45 million second half men in that 168 million workers that are between the ages of 45 and 65, or 45 and older in the workforce, I should say. So if we look at the numbers that we were told, about 300 million jobs being lost in the next 3 to 5 years, and you took the United States' proportion of that, that's about 45 million jobs right there exposed. If only half of those 45 million jobs were affected by AI, that's 25 million job loss. 25 million job loss in the next 3 years. So we just talked about the workforce being 168 million, and now you're talking about taking 25 million people out of the workforce. That's huge, huge percentage, but more than that, it's a huge number. That's the scary part about what all's going on. And when we talk about second half man, you're talking about a big percentage of the work and one of the most vulnerable groups of people when it comes to it.
That's a big chunk of cash flow out of our economy, man.
Understand that there's a huge percentage, 78% of the large companies um, in the United States are saying either we are relying heavily on AI going into the future, or that we're really working at it at a slower pace. But we do understand that that's going to happen. That's half of the workforce right there. There's two things that we're talking about. One is it's early days, and yes, we're learning how to put this to work in our organizations. But in order to do that, we need to start at the kind of the lowest level that we can get a handle on and do it. We're not going to attack, excuse me, our most difficult problems. We're gonna take the easy ones, which is why we're talking about types of jobs: administrative, screen workers, repetitive work, anything that can be taken over pretty easily by and systematized and taken over. That those are the first things that are going to happen. The people that remain in the organizations aren't just not using the the AI technology. They're utilizing the AI technology. They're training it to be able to do more and more in the organizations. They're actually training it to be able to do their own jobs and probably training their own replacements when you look at it in terms of that. So then the step function of what it is that we're talking about, and you call it, all this stuff is going on underneath the sheets. That's right. I'm not losing my job. I'm not losing my job. I'm not losing a job. I'm getting along with Chat GPT, and I'm getting along with Chat, and I'm getting along with the bots that my company has, and I'm in good shape until I'm not. Because the company is going to keep you around, keep as many employees around as they have to be able to do their work on a daily basis. And then when they get to a point when they say, okay, yep, the machines can do this and I don't need you, then that's where you see wholesale job drops all at the same time. Not just AI is coming for your job, you have 2 or 3 years to work, and then you're going to be out of here. They're not telling you that at all. They're just saying, this is what we're doing now. This is our new regime. Let's work through this. And when they can replace you, they're under the mandate to do that. Well, I'll tell you something else. I said about 50% of the work. I know you want to jump in here and tell me this, but I'm on a roll, dude. So
Go, go, Russ, go, go, Russ, go.
so the other half of the world that works in these small companies, and the small company adoption is much slower, less than 24% of small companies right now saying that they use AI on a regular basis or have big plans in order to have AI or agents and things like that in their workforce. The problem with that is there's a huge percentage of small companies in the world that do work for large businesses, marketing companies, sales agencies, in the manufacturing, in boat manufacturing. The huge chunk of all of the work that's done is done through subcontractors and other people doing it.
Contractors, right? Contractors.
So when the need for those contractors goes away, because in order for me to make more money on my bottom line, if I can do something less expensive and it doesn't cost me a lot more labor to oversee all the things, that the machines can do what I am subcontracting out, then what happens to all of those small businesses? And then when that starts happening to all those small businesses, what happens to all those small business employees?
All right. So is it displacing jobs? I think we both probably would leave this conversation saying it's going to here at the second half man show. The idea here isn't try to scare the you know what idea. The idea is to create awareness, right? Create the fact that guys like me, guys like Russ, we're getting to a point in our lives where the assumption of the future and all my planning all these years and all my saving and all my building up in order to have this future that I thought was going to be is is going to change. It's going to change underneath my feet. The scenario that I created, the actually landscape. Russ says our runway, but my retirement runway, it's all changing. It's changing. I need to understand why it's changing. I need to try to figure out how I can help that.
Yeah.
How
So,
how 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 is that gonna? How can we help them, Russ?
well, I'm going to help them. You're screwed. You're just done. So just you need to roll over. We stuck a
I
fork
just,
in you. There is
I'm
no more
just
601. You're done.
yeah, I'm just walking along outside of the truck, waving in the window. Good.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on in what you just asked and in what you said, and we're going to get into that. And I don't want to get too far down the road of other technologies and what's going on. But it's not just, you know, AI is unlocking so many things that make our world so much different and is going to make our world so much different in the next 5 to 10 years. It's not just our work. So if you look in, I don't want to get off in this, but look in the longevity sciences and see what the use of AI has been able to unlock just within the last, 5 to 10 years. And when we look at that, what that does for our own longevity. You stay in pretty decent shape. I'm trying to stay in pretty decent shape. We stay in pretty decent shape in 5 to 7 years. There's a good chance that for every year we live beyond that point, if you're in good shape after that, you can add another year on to the end of your life. So your runway, as short as you think it is right now, may not be what your mom and dad's are. It could be 20 years beyond that. Are you prepared for that? I know
No.
you're not because I saw your numbers, dude. Yeah,
All right.
I saw your numbers.
All right.
So
Th
so we'll talk
Wrap
about
it
that
up,
more in a little.
Russ. Wrap it up, buddy. Wrap
We'll
it
wrap
up.
it up. All right. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, okay, we see all this disruption, chaos. What the hell am I supposed to do about it? When we come back right after these messages, we'll talk a little bit more about how we go from this panic to power and what we can do about it as second half men.